Welcome back, viewers, to the Stellar Twin Voyagers program. Today, I, Nova A239, will once again guide you through the adventures of siblings striving to fulfill their colorful dreams. Let's explore the eternal realms and nurture dreams amidst the sea of stars. Prepare to be enchanted by the wonders of the universe and stories full of hope that will inspire us all. A new day has begun and our two young shepherds resume their story. They woke up early in the morning, tidied their beds, and hurried to meet mother, father, and grandfather already in the kitchen. Good morning, father. Good morning, mother. Grandfather, where is grandfather, mom? Has he gone to the fields? Asked Aster. Mother shook her head, while father answered his son's question. No, grandfather is heading to the harvest barn. Don't you remember tomorrow is the summer harvest festival? Grandfather is reviewing the harvest collected by all the villagers and greeting the townsfolk. It's usual for him, being the elder of the village is a bit of a hassle. Oh, right, I totally forgot. Aster scratched his head. Did we ever celebrate it, Cosmo? Asked Cosmo innocently. Yes, of course. Oh, Cosmo. Aster shook his head. Each family head will bring a harvest offering arranged in a trough and together with all the villagers will parade with the troughs placed in large carts around the entire village while saying thank you prayer to the earth goddess who has given fertility and abundance throughout the year. After the event is over, the harvest will be redistributed to the entire village. Don't you really remember? Oh, when we helped mother with the other neighbors' children to make woven, yes, bang. Cosmo asked. Yes, Aster said. If so, be you. We immediately scooped water and herded the sheep first. Be you, father. There must be a lot of work today. Come on, Cosmo, let's go. Cosmo nodded and immediately followed his brother to fetch water in a well under a hill. After finishing fetching water, they immediately returned home, placed it in the kitchen, and then ran towards the sheep pen to herd their sheep in the meadow. After their sheep grazed and drank, Aster and Cosmo hurriedly returned them to the pen and locked the pen door. Now let's go home, Aster said. Both boys ran home, and at that moment, grandfather was also at home. Good morning, grandfather. Are you tired, grandfather? Greeted Aster. Oh, grandfather's grandchildren, good morning. Ah no, grandfather is just reviewing and not doing heavy work. Come on, Aster, Cosmo, clean yourselves up and get ready for breakfast, replied grandfather. Okay, grandfather, Aster and Cosmo replied, then brought their clothes and bathed in the backyard, then immediately returned to the dining table. Wow, mother's sons already have a good smell. Let's eat now, you'll follow mother to make a weaving for tomorrow's festival, said mother. Okay, be you, said Aster and Cosmo excitedly. They immediately ate their breakfast and finished it eagerly. Ah, father is done. Father will go to make preparations for the harvest festival tomorrow first. You will obediently follow mother, said father. Okay, father, said both of his sons. Grandfather also got up from his seat and said, I've also finished eating. Grandfather will also go to help in tomorrow's preparations. Hopefully the earth goddess statue will be completed on time. See you at noon, my grandchildren. Okay, grandfather, be careful, said both grandchildren. Aster and Cosmo then hurriedly tidied up the dining table and helped their mother clean the eating utensils and dry them. Okay, we're done here thanks to mother's children who are adept. Thank you. Now wait for mother outside. Okay. Mother will go to the room for a while and change clothes, then take the weaving material, after which we will leave together to the field to work on weaving and handicrafts together with other neighbors, said mother while taking off her apron. All right, mom, said Aster and Cosmo as they waited for their mother in the house yard. Shortly after, their mother appeared carrying all the weaving supplies. Let's go now. The field might be bustling already. Aster and Cosmo nodded and followed their mother as she walked towards the field. True enough, there were already many women and children gathered there. Mrs. Dorothy, let's gather here, greeted one of mother's friends. All right, I'll go over there, said mother, taking her two sons along. Oh, your sons have grown up. It's a pity I don't have sons, said Mrs. Selina. No, your daughter has grown into a beautiful girl. Yes, but I do feel very blessed because my two sons are very diligent and obedient, said mother. Ah, let's just start making the crafts. Then mother and her two sons sat in one of the empty spots and started weaving. Aster, Cosmo, you just need to make woven palm leaf decorations for the earth goddess fan. Leave the difficult weaving and crafts to me and the other women here, said mother. All right, mom, they both replied. Then they slowly started weaving the dried palm leaves to form the fan decoration. Brother, this is hard, complained Cosmo. How do you weave it? My weave keeps coming loose. Aster looked at his younger brother's work and advised him. Oh, that's not how you do it, Cosmo. Watch me. You have to make a knot at every meeting like this so your weave doesn't come loose. At the end, poke it with a sharpened bamboo blade, but be careful not to hurt your own hand. Look, like this, slowly, there. Now, you try it. Cosmo nodded and began following his brother's instructions. Finally, Cosmo managed to finish it. Ah, my weave looks ugly. I think I'll just throw it away. Huffed. I always hate doing this, it just makes me embarrassed. Aster took the weave from Cosmo's hand and said, it's okay, this is quite good already. Let me fix it a bit. Learning is never easy, Cosmo. But what's needed here is determination. It's okay to make mistakes, it's more embarrassing if we do nothing. Come on, let's try practicing making another weave. Cosmo nodded. Wow, your eldest son is very mature, Mrs. Dorothy. I'm really impressed by how you've raised your child, Mrs. Selina remarked, observing the conversation between the two young shepherds. Oh no, mother said modestly, I haven't done anything. My son Aster has always been very mature and obedient. Your child is also very obedient and talented in weaving. All the women and children there enthusiastically worked on their weaving. Aster and Cosmo also helped each other complete their weaving. Before they knew it, it was nearly noon, and their work was almost finished for the preparation of tomorrow's festival. All right, let's set aside the weavings and handicrafts we've completed, and we'll continue this afternoon after lunch break. Now, let's all return home for lunch, said mother. All right, responded everyone who was working, then they began tidying up their work. One by one, they left the field until only mother and her two sons remained. Let's go home now. I need to prepare lunch. Your father and grandfather will be home soon, said mother. Yes, mom, said Aster and Cosmo, then walked home following their mother. Once home, they quickly cleaned up, and mother started working in the kitchen. Meanwhile, Aster and Cosmo helped set the table for lunch. Finally, mother finished cooking lunch. Aster, Cosmo, please call dad and grandpa home. Tell them I finished cooking lunch, said mother. All right, mom, they both said. At that moment, footsteps were heard from outside. We're home, said dad as he entered the house, followed by grandpa. Oh, mother has already cooked, I see. Perfect timing, dad's hungry too. Come on, boys, let's sit down and join for lunch, said dad, taking his seat. Is there still much work there, dear? Mother asked while serving food for dad. Not too much, we've done quite a bit, just need to finish up later in the afternoon. Mostly painting and decorating left. The core work is done, explained dad. That's good to hear, said mother. All right, let's all eat now. Enjoy your meal, the whole family exclaimed. Then they enjoyed their lunch heartily. They chatted lightly, and before they knew it, they had finished their lunch. I'll go back to work with the others, said Dad. All right, hurry back if your work finishes, said Mother. Dad nodded, kissed his 2 sons, and left to work with other adult men in the village again. Meanwhile, Grandpa rested in the yard while smoking his pipe. Aster and Cosmo helped Mother tidy up the dining table and clean the dishes. Seeing that his grandsons were almost done helping their mother, Grandpa called from outside the house, "Grandsons, when you're finished, come here. Grandpa will tell you a little story before returning to work." "All right, Grandpa," said the 2 grandsons, and they hurriedly finished their tasks with enthusiasm. Afterward, they rushed to meet their grandpa. "All right, now that you've gathered, today Grandpa thought of telling you about the sun. Do you want to hear?" said Grandpa. Yes, Grandpa, exclaimed the 2 grandsons. "All right, then, come sit next to Grandpa. Grandpa will start the story right away." Ahem, so, as you know, the sun is the central star of our solar system and plays a very important role in supporting life on Earth. Although it's just a ball of gas, the sun actually consists of layers with different characteristics. First, there is the solar core. The solar core is the innermost and hottest layer with a temperature of about 15 million degrees Celsius. Here, nuclear reactions occur, transforming hydrogen into helium in a process called nuclear fusion. This fusion process generates incredible energy, providing the energy source for the sun in the solar system. Next, there is the radiative zone. This zone is located above the core and consists of very dense hot plasma. The energy generated in the core is radiated through the radiative zone in the form of electromagnetic radiation. The temperature in the radiative zone can reach about 7 million degrees Celsius. Thirdly, there is the convective zone. The convective zone is located outside the radiative zone and consists of less dense plasma. Energy from the radiative zone is transferred to the surface through strong convective movements. Convection currents create complex patterns of heat flow and magnetic currents in this layer. Then there is the photosphere. The photosphere is the visible layer of the sun and is the surface we see when we look at the sun. Its temperature is about 5,500 degrees Celsius and it appears yellow due to emitted radiation. It is also the place where sunspots occur, which are relatively cooler in darker areas associated with strong magnetic fields. Fifth, there is the chromosphere. The chromosphere is the external atmosphere layer of the sun located above the photosphere. The temperature in the chromosphere sharply increases to about 4,000 to 50,000 degrees Celsius. Phenomena such as prominences occur here, which are very hot gas bubbles that can be seen floating above the sun's surface during a solar eclipse. Lastly, there is the corona. The corona is the outermost atmosphere of the sun and is the most external layer. Despite being the farthest atmosphere layer, the corona has a very high temperature, reaching millions of degrees Celsius. This is related to the effect of the magnetic field and the kinetic energy of particles caused by plasma movements in the sun's atmosphere. Now, Grandfather will tell you some interesting things about the sun. The sun itself generates energy around 386 billion megawatts, enough to supply energy to Earth for millions of years. Interestingly, the sun does not rotate on a fixed axis. The equatorial region rotates faster than the poles. The sun's magnetic field also constantly changes, creating very complex effects throughout the solar system. Earlier, Grandfather also mentioned prominences, which are very hot gas bubbles seen floating above the sun's surface during a solar eclipse. Another fascinating fact is that the temperature at the core of the sun reaches around 15 million degrees Celsius, while its density is about 150 times that of water. And the sun itself is estimated to be around 4.6 billion years old and is expected to continue shining for about another 5 billion years before entering its final stage. Isn't that amazing? Said Grandfather. Yes, Grandpa, that's really amazing. Please continue, said both grandchildren. Alright, there's another interesting thing. Grandpa doesn't know if you've heard about it before or not. Solar storms. Solar storms occur when the sun releases a massive amount of energy in the form of plasma bubbles and electromagnetic radiation. This can affect various technological systems on Earth, including the power grid, satellite communications, and GPS navigation. Also, the second thing is the sunspot cycle, which is a periodic pattern where the number of sunspots visible on the sun's surface rises and falls over approximately an 11-year period. Sunspots are relatively cooler in darker areas on the sun's surface associated with strong magnetic fields, Grandpa explained. Storm, tornado, typhoon, Grandpa, like on Earth, asked Cosmo. Hee, chuckled Grandpa. Alright, let me explain again. Solar storms are actually bursts of energy and particles from the sun that occur due to activity in the sun's atmosphere, particularly in the corona layer. Solar storms can be in the form of coronal mass ejections, CMEs, and solar flares. First, solar flares. These are large bursts of energy in the sun's atmosphere that release electromagnetic radiation, such as X-rays and ultraviolet rays. Then, coronal mass ejections, CMEs. These are large releases of charged particles, including protons and electrons, from the sun's corona that can move into space. So, the sun has a very dynamic and complex magnetic field. The sun's differential rotation, where the equatorial region rotates faster than the poles, causes the sun's magnetic field to twist and knot. When these complex magnetic fields twist and interact, they can break and release energy in the form of solar flares or CMEs. Solar flares release radiation in various forms, while CMEs release charged particles that can move at high speeds towards the solar system, including Earth. These solar storms cause various impacts on Earth. First, satellite disruption. Charged particles from CMEs can damage electronics on satellites, disrupting communication and navigation. Second, power grid disturbances. Charged particles can induce currents that damage transformers and power grids on Earth. Third, radio interference. Electromagnetic radiation from solar flares can interfere with radio communications, especially at high frequencies. However, wait a moment, let Grandpa have a drink. Grandpa then took his drink, rested for a moment, and continued. However, our Earth also has its protective mechanism. It's called the Earth's magnetic field. The Earth's magnetic field is generated by the movement of liquid metal in the outer core of the Earth. This field serves several important functions. First, the Earth's magnetic field shields the planet from harmful charged particles coming from the sun, such as solar wind and particles from solar storms. Second, the Earth's magnetic field is used for navigation, both by humans using compasses and by many animals that use the magnetic field for migration orientation. The Earth's magnetic field consists of lines extending from the magnetic North Pole to the magnetic South Pole, forming a layer called the magnetosphere. The magnetosphere itself is the part of the magnetic field that interacts with the solar wind, protecting Earth from charged particles. Now, do you know what aurora is? Like lights in the night sky in the polar regions, Grandpa? Asked Aster, somewhat uncertain. Good, said Grandpa, you've got the idea. Aurora is a phenomenon of lights in the sky that occurs when charged particles from the sun collide with molecules in Earth's atmosphere. Auroras are typically seen near the Earth's magnetic poles and are known as aurora borealis, northern lights, and aurora australis, southern lights. So, charged particles from solar wind or solar storms enter Earth's magnetosphere and are directed by the magnetic field towards the magnetic poles. These charged particles then collide with gas molecules in the atmosphere, such as oxygen and nitrogen. This collision causes the gas molecules to become excited and then release energy in the form of light, producing beautiful colors like green, red, blue, and purple. Green light is produced by oxygen at altitudes of about 100–300 kilometers. Red light is produced by oxygen at altitudes higher than 300 kilometers. Blue and purple colors are produced by nitrogen at lower altitudes. Alright, that's enough for today's afternoon. Grandpa needs to get back to work. Alright, Grandpa, we'll also help Mom continue our remaining weaving work. Thank you, Grandpa, for telling us the stories, said Aster and Cosmo. Grandpa nodded and affectionately patted the heads of his grandchildren. You're welcome. And that concludes the Stellar Twin Voyagers show for today. Wasn't it enjoyable? Would you also like to hear more amazing tales from our young shepherds' adventures as they carve their small dreams among the stars? Stay with us on this program, and we'll meet again in the next episode. In short, I'm Nova A239, delighted to have shared stories with you today. Until next time.